women. The state had also given so much of their time to address our concerns, recommendations, and very importantly, echo their support for the aspirations of Singapore women. And I certainly appreciate the interest and support from our Workers' Party and nominated members of Parliament in this motion debate as well. We have had 2 days of robust debate, and it is clear that women have made significant progress over the decades. But that 18 MPs and 5 ministers spoke over 2 days, it is also clear that there are still areas in which the nation can take pragmatic, concrete steps to help women achieve their aspirations, thereby benefiting families, increasing social capital and economic prosperity, and contributing to Singapore's long-term success. Through the debate, colleagues and I have articulated and elaborated on the 4 strategies that we believe are critical to supporting Singapore women in their aspirational pursuits. Let me briefly sum up. The first strategy, it is to create capacity. As we have all agreed that as of the current reality, the primary caregiving role is undertaken by women. And therefore, there is a need to give more support to our caregivers so as to free up the capacity to pursue their aspirations, whether it is in the social area or the career arena. And in this aspect, I'm glad that colleagues such as Honourable Ms. Joan Pereira, Ms. Cheryl Chan, Ms. Kwek Xiao Yin, and Ms. Soon Xue Ling have all alluded to in the speech. At the same time, we also need to refresh and build new capabilities of our women to help back-to-work women. Because with new capabilities or refreshed capabilities, when they skill up, it also builds and creates new capacity as well. And this is also being very passionately spoken about by Honourable Member Ms. Jessica Tan, Ms. Joan Pereira, Ms. Daryl David, Ms. Rahayu Mazam, and Ms. Intan Azura. The second strategy is to be able to provide options for women to choose. Those with career aspirations, that they don't have to feel that they have to sacrifice or make trade-offs, or even feel guilty about having to juggle 2 different roles and feel inadequate at any one point in time. Or even for women who choose to want to focus their energy on their families where their heart lies. And so, over the course of the 2-day debate, we have come up with several recommendations. One of which is highly supported by, I think, almost all our speakers, flexible work arrangement. And this is echoed very passionately by our Honourable Member, Ms. Lee Bee Wah, Dr. Intan Azura, Ms. Soon Xue Ling, Mr. Vikram Nair, Ms. Cheryl Chan, Mr. Louis Ng, and a few others. We've also talked about how this needs to be complemented by having progressive HR policies and practices in place. And this has also been elaborated and championed by Honourable Member Ms. Cheryl Chan and Mr. Daryl David. Now, for those of us, women, who wish to focus our energies on family caregiving, to raise children, to take care of elderly, there's often one thing that weighs very heavily on their mind, and that is retirement adequacy. So how can we help women who choose this path to free up their capacity, to free up their mind so that they can focus on family caregiving a little bit more? And this is where several members such as Ms. Joan Pereira, Ms. Lee Bee Wah, Ms. Rahayu Mazam, Mr. Alex Tan, Dr. Intan Azura, and as well as Ms. Kwek Xiao Yin have all talked about, and that is to top up the CPF of women who have given up their careers to stay at home to care for their family members. And this is also something that our PAP Women's Wing had in the past raised, and that is top up with love. And so these are the key points that our MPs, my colleagues, have raised very passionately about in terms of providing that options for women. The third strategy, and that is to remove barriers, to remove the invisible barrier and often that are stereotypical as well as pigeonholing women in Singapore. So at the leadership level, we talk about how women has been underrepresented at the board levels, at the executive levels, and also how we should also drive up women participation and leadership within the community. And these have all been very passionately talked about by Ms. Jessica Tan, Ms. Soon Xue Ling, Mr. Vikram Nair, Mr. Alex Yam, and Mr. Louis Ng. But to do so, we also need to acknowledge, recognize the stereotypes, the biases that are also constraining women in these different roles. And so it is very heartening to hear that various members such as Mr. Darryl David, Mr. Louis Ng, Dr. Intan Azura, Mr. Leon Pereira, and Mr. Kok Heng Loon all talk about the need to shift the care burden to have a more equal sharing of care duties between men and women, whether it's at the workplace, whether it's in the family, or even within the social setting. And so this is something that I believe that we need to continue to work on and